cried the sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand.
Check 1, 2. Check 2. There we go. Oh, we're here. Wow. Coming to you live from the switchover to, I think, day 4? No, day 5? I think this is day 5 now. I don't know. I'm a little discombobulated. Been getting bounced around quite a bit out here. Mistakes were made, people. Decisions were carried out that had consequences. And still to this very minute that I'm recording this at 11:45 p.m. on, I believe it's the 17th. I'll have to look in my logbook. We are still in 20 to 25 knots of wind. Running. Dead downwind. Like a champ. Sparrow is, we're rolling a little bit, but it's a pitch black night. Cloud cover. No moon. And we're sort of thundering through the evening. Where do I begin? I guess back the other day in the morning when I was hove to a mere 260 miles from my current position. 260 miles northwest of my current position, I was hove to and prepared to wait it out until the weather started to clear. Now, this would have been a process of total mental fortitude, patience, all the virtues that a great sailor has, which I lack plenty of. I espouse, if that's the right word, to strive to have those things, but there's certain areas that I do and certain areas that I don't. Being hove to, heaving to is not one of them. I get real antsy. I get like, man, what am I doing? And thus our story begins, because I downloaded the forecast and I looked at it and I said, oh, hey, if I take off now, I'll be able to outrun this thing and stay on the leading edge of it. And not only that, but I'm going to be able to cross the stream at a really nice point, where it's not very strong. Like the main body of the stream is only like 2 knots or something, and it's going with the wind. Oh man, this will be great. And this is obviously my brain cooking up some semblance of a game plan that will allow me to not have to sit there hove to for 2 days and wait around and then take off and then have kind of like a crummy forecast as far as, I think I was going to have some southerlies. So it would have been like, oh, okay, now we got to head out basically towards the Azores for a couple of days and then go south. And then, who knows what sort of ugly weather we're going to find. It's always my worry is you go way offshore this time of the year and, hey, you might find yourself in a gale. What a tangled web we weave. So I'm sitting there, Mr. Brainiac, thinking I'm smart. I'm, you know, I'm Jerry Genius up here with my little weather map. Oh my gosh. And I was like, you know what? Turn and burn. And I think I even wrote that. I believe I wrote that in the logbook. And so somewhere around mid-morning, I decided that it would be a good idea, as the wind was already at about 20 knots, to turn and burn. And just run with it. Just run with it. Because according to me and my reading of the forecast, it was going to be like 36 hours of windy conditions and then easing off. Well, I can tell you, folks, I can tell you from a first-hand account of someone who is now 48 hours into this thing, it's still blowing. Every once in a while, we're still taking a hit from a wave. I don't even want to know what it looks like out there. I'm glad it's dark out. I know it's nothing compared to what I was dealing with today. So I'm not stressed at all, which is cool. You know, perspective is a real interesting thing. But I digress. Let's rewind a little bit. So, midday, we turn and burn. I'm feeling good. I'm like, yeah, we are moving. I believe we're just triple reef main and storm jib, broad reaching, absolutely loving life. Instead of hove to and sitting, twiddling my thumbs, we were just absolutely housing it and screaming along. If I recall correctly, we were really, really doing well because the winds were more westerly, and we're forecast to turn out of the northwest as the day went on, and it was a blast. I'm not gonna lie, that feeling of breaking free, of cracking off, easing the sheets, and downwind sailing in a building breeze is always a lot of fun, and it feels amazing, and it's exciting, and I love it. Done it many, many times, and always been super stoked about it, especially if you start out, either pounding into the wind or hove to, where you're just sitting there and you're like, this kind of sucks. So, pretty generally, we go and it starts blowing, and it's blowing more and more, and it's always increasing. And then, nighttime comes. And at night, we all know everything intensifies a little bit. Your fears and anxieties amplify out at sea. You're a little more acute, aware of every noise, every motion, because you can't see what's going on. Well, I was in that state, and it was super cloudy last night. Or no, the first night. Jeez, I gotta get this. All right, hold on. Okay. All right. So we got our timeline. Sorry, I just had to check. I mean, only hours have gone by, but I feel like it's been a lifetime. Today, right now, the clock is ticking over to midnight, so it is the 18th of November. The 17th, which I will refer to as yesterday, was all spent dealing with this weather. And the 16th at noon, 12:30. Let's just say it. What my logbook says is turn and burn. Here we go. Running for the win. Ready or not. Hope it holds true. Running? All right. Jeez, that doesn't... Ugh. Here we go. Gosh, my chicken scratch is so bad. I literally wrote this 2 days ago, and I can barely read it. Anyway, so we turn and burn. Caesar building. They're 4 to 6. No, at that point, they're 5 to 10 foot. The pressure. Get this. The pressure was down from the day before at like 10:03 millibars down to 982. That's a big drop, folks. You see a 25 millibar drop in essentially 24 hours. Guess what? It's going to be windier than the forecast is telling you. Unless the forecast is calling for a severe gale. Now, we turn and burn. We're blasting all day. It's great. Yeah, at night it becomes very cloudy. Or at least, yeah, mostly cloudy. It's 62 degrees, which is great. It's finally not that cold out. And we're headed to a very weak part of the stream, but also realizing that as soon as we get close, we're going to start feeling that warm water in the air. Oh, so that's good. And it gets a little hectic that night. Nothing crazy by any means, but it's blowing, and the wind is building up into the high 20s. And I'm kind of like, wow, all right. And I'm a little bit worried about going through the Gulf Stream because rightfully so, they forecast this thing. And I do believe that the main part of the stream, they're good at forecasting. The eddies, however, not so good. And, that was the thing. That was part of the equation in my mind about making this decision was that, well, there were no eddies. Not anywhere near where I was going to be. There were eddies another couple hundred miles to the east, and there was really just a big bend in the stream back to the west. And so I was like, wow, we're in pretty good little location to cut right across this thing. Now, I am freely going to admit that was a misstep. That was my brain saying, I don't want to hove to, and the risk of this possibly happening is not enough for me to still sit here hove to. Oh, the old brain games. So, that being said, by first light yesterday morning, which would have been, yeah, okay, by first light, and I'm like praying for the light. I'm just like, please get me some light, because I know the seas have built up quite a bit, and I'm having flashbacks to 2022 where, there's that one clip I have where I'm like, these seas are kind of big. Well, I knew that we were in that same sitch where it was like, holy smokes. And I was in the stream pretty much full on. Every time a wave pooped the boat, and by that I mean a breaking wave landed in the cockpit, filled up the cockpit footwell, I would feel it, and it was very warm, very, very warm. I could actually feel it in the hull of the boat. Underneath my nav station, I can just put my hand on the fiberglass, and I can feel the temperature of the water. And yes, very warm. So I kind of knew that I was in there, and I also know that essentially warm water, the waves get a little more hectic. Cold water is a little more dense, according to some old salty skippas up there in Maine. And if you can stay in colder water in a very severe storm, it's better because the waves don't build up quite as high. Now, this was by no means a severe storm. I don't want to give anybody the impression that that's what was going on. We're just talking a gale, a definitely I would call it a force 9 severe gale. And yeah, first light comes this morning, and I'm like, whoa, okay, yeah. So the seas are pretty big. They were not crazy by any means. And I was actually kind of like, oh, okay, this isn't terrible. But the winds are definitely blowing. So now it's steady 30 to 35. So it's howling. You're like, wow, this kind of like hurts my eyes to look at. And then, but it wasn't gusting. And then all of a sudden, I'd get a lull. I'd get like a little, it dropped down into the 20s. And I'd be like, oh, okay. But I'm looking at the forecast, and I keep updating it using the Iridium Go because the Starlink absolutely won't connect in any of this stuff, guaranteed. Not with the motion of the boat. And not throwing any shade on Starlink, but we're just running. And again, now at this point, we're just triple reefed main, sheeted all the way out. Storm jib is lashed up on the bow where it lies right now. And the winds just kind of come back on right around noonish. No, I'd say like 9 a.m. So now we've been in the sunlight ish. We can see what's going on. It's getting hectic. I am looking at big waves up into the 20-foot range, mostly swell, and I'm seeing breakers, but not breakers as in what I saw in 2022, where they were thunderous, very dangerous breakers that roll and travel down the front of the swell. These were breaking at the top and then cascading down the backside of the wave like normal waves do in normal ocean conditions. So I'm glad to see that. And as the waves heap up even more, because now as the wind really, when the gusts, like you'd get a patch where for about 5 minutes it would blow up into the 40s, and the entire ocean surface turns into like, it kind of looks like marbled meat, except it's blue. It's just sort of streaked with white on this very, very blue canvas. And the swell kept building. And it seemed like these big sets again, every once in a while, a big set of very, very large waves would come in. And they were coming from the northwest, but also seemingly coming out of the north somehow. And it was a little hard because it was a little hard to judge direction because it felt like to me I was going south, and I knew I wasn't. I was going basically to the east. So it was more like the major wave set was coming from the west, but every once in a while they were meeting up in the north. Either way, some of these monsters that are thundering towards me, and huge breakers up top. Just it was like, oh my gosh, the power of the sea. Look at that. Listen to that. Feel that. And feel it, I did. We had one I called the Triple Lindy, which I don't even understand how this did this, but it broke once. And then just a few seconds later, broke a second time, followed by a second later, a third time, which leapt aboard the Mighty Sparrow and sent us surging down the front of this thing like a banshee straight out of the devil's, straight out of the devil's banquet. I don't know why I just said that. Banquet. But that's, I don't know. It was crazy. I'm tired, folks. Yeah, the triple Indy happens, and that's when I started to get concerned, let's just say. That's where all of a sudden I thought, okay, so now I have just entered this zone of total uncertainty. Again, flashbacks from 2022. And those basically walls of water that were marching towards me. And I've got a keen eye. I'm basically sitting or standing in the companionway, and I'm just eyeballing everything. I want to see it. I was able to get a little bit of sleep now and again, but by about this time, noon today or noon yesterday, I was awake. There was enough concern with the weather that I definitely was not. I was not going to be able to lay down in that bunk. And and I'm just looking at my watch, and I'm like, man, I can't do another night of this. I just went through one very nerve-wracking night. Barely got any sleep. Winds building, seas, the triple Lindy, obviously some big waves. I was like, I can't do another night. I'm gonna have to pull a Rutherford and just pass out no matter what. No matter what's going on out there, I'm just gonna pass out. He always prided himself on that, where he's like, yeah. He's like, when it's, it doesn't matter. There's a point where you're so tired, you just go down and you go to sleep. Well, I don't know. That's a little more difficult for me than it is for him in those situations. But the afternoon, things get wild. I don't know. And again, the forecast shows it tapering off. Shows it at like 30, 33 knots. A bit north of my position, because I did outrun it. Caveat. According to the forecast, where it is steady 35 knots, I was south of that, or at least supposedly. So I had technically outrun the worst of this thing. And by about 2 p.m, it just clicks on. And we're already dealing with some pretty steep seas, some pretty big swell. Definitely saw some up in the 30-foot range. Just absolute monsters, where I'm clouded. I'm not feeling the wind anymore. These waves rear up. I don't feel a thing. It's not windy. And then you get to the top of it, and all of a sudden, it's blowing. So I know these things are big. But they're not crazy. Every once in a while, I'd see a big breaker. But again, it was rolling down the backside. So obviously catastrophic for a few seconds, but it wasn't the tumbling down the front of the swell like it was those years ago. And essentially that wind kicks on. So now it is basically steady 35, and it is gusting way up into the 40s with these squalls. And just, I had to finally, the first big round of this, where I became pretty concerned, And by that, I mean I went and got my harness and put that on. It blew so hard that it sent us onto a beam reach. We got picked up by the top of one large wave and essentially placed about 10 feet downwind on one wave to the thunderous clamor. But I'll tell you what, Mighty Sparrow stood strong. She shouldered it like none other. It was just like, ugh, all right. Okay, we're good. I'm just like, wow. So that's when I hop up on deck, and I'm also looking at the wind blade that has slowly been deteriorating out there on Mongo. And all I'm watching is the veneer on the outside of it sort of peeling up, at least in the beginning. Well, now it's like starting to kink and bend because I think it's about to fall apart. And luckily, there's a couple spots on this one where there's Gorilla Tape, which I actually used as a sort of balancing weight, if you will. Well, it also kind of held things together in a way. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it's bending to the point where it's probably just going to snap. So that is a call to arms. So I hop up on deck and I clip in and I relinquish and relieve Mongo from his duties, which I cannot tell you. I have no idea how long it's been since I did that. I didn't do it in 2022, that's for sure. The winds never got up to that point. And so I'm sitting there and I'm helming. And it actually feels kind of good. I get us back onto a dead run. Takes a little bit of the sting out of the wind. It was a lot more manageable than I remember the last time I helmed this boat in heavy weather. And I am having these flashbacks to the first gale back in 2016. My father and I, like 100 miles north of Puerto Rico. Oh, Lord. It was so long ago, and I helmed through the night for about 6 or 8 hours just to see what it would be like and see if I could handle it. This is when I was very new to this whole thing. It still had yet to solo sail, believe it or not. So that's how long ago this was. And I'm having flashbacks to that. It is just cranking. Wind is blowing. I'm wishing that I had my ski goggles on because I can't look back into the seas because it's also raining as well. Not a whiteout rain, but like BBs pelting me kind of rain. And we're on track. That squall goes through. The winds ease off a bit, and I link Mongo back in because I'm like, all right, I think we got it. And Mongo can now hold his course. Oh, so I take back my position in the companionway, and I'm looking back, and I'm kind of like, oh man. So the little metal bracket that is screwed on with a U-bolt onto the tiller, which attaches the control lines for Mongo. There's like a little play because now there's a chain. There's like a half inch or a quarter inch of like, so it can just move a little. Well, that motion, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, that's not the chain moving. That's the bracket moving. Not good. And so again, for the second time, I snap into action. I grab a crescent wrench. I hop up there. And yes, it's totally loose. It has worked its way to and it makes me right now want to go up and take a look and make sure it's still tight. I cranked down on that. I was like, bedamned with making some indents on the wood or anything here. Let's tighten this baby up. So that's all nice and tight. And yeah, jeez. So it keeps going like that. And then we have And it's like every 15, 20 minutes, we take another very, very large wave. We surfed, holy cow, some incredible waves where it's breaking. Sparrow, just the canoe stern on this thing, it's amazing to watch. A rampant breaking wave coming up, and you're like, wow, this is just going to end me, or this is going to push me into an uncontrolled sleigh ride. No. The stern on this baby slices that thing in half. We just ride it out, probably doing between 15 and 20 knots. Thunderous. A cacophony of noise and vibration. And we did multiple of those. I even got one on video. At least I have it on video to the last second, where all you hear is me slamming the companionway hatch closed. And it's one of those where it's another like triple Lindy. This thing keeps breaking over and over and over again in succession. Man, it got wild. It just got wild. And oh shoot. And then like towards the end of the afternoon, the last of the squalls rolled through, so the sky kind of clears a bit. And it's still honking, and there's still behemoths, but I haven't seen any really big waves in quite some time. You know, they've settled back into like the 15-foot range. And then we get absolutely trounced by a large breaker that just seemingly comes out of nowhere. But I'm down below at this point, and it hits the hatch, the companionway, the hatch boards. Why can't I think of the name of those? They're not called hatch boards. Oh well. I'm going to let my ignorance go on that one. I'm going to call that exhaustion. But it hits with such force. And I haven't seen this since the Southern Ocean. I mean, it sprayed into this boat. Nav station, soaked. Galley, completely soaked. The floor is awash with salt water. And I'm kind of just looking at it like, oh my God. And there was so much water that, you know, obviously the footwell was completely filled, but it was sloshing for a hot second back and forth because it had filled the bulwarks. So the footwell to the deck of the cockpit, and then add another foot of water on that. And it's just pouring in. Oh, my goodness. My goodness gracious. I couldn't believe that. And that was like the last big sassy hit. That one took out the spray skirts. Not completely. And it is intentional that the spray skirts are done up with basically twine, if you will, so that they do break away if they get hit. Well, they're not completely gone, but both of them have grommets, and one of them is just cut right in half. But the Dodger is just stout. The Dodger's holding on true as the North Star up there. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. And I didn't fold it down the whole time. I think it's because I've done so many repairs to it, and I know I'm going to basically make a new one. But I was like, I'm just going to leave it up. I think it's going to be okay. So that was the last big hit, and that was getting into like 4:30, 5 o'clock so we're getting close to sunset, which I did not see because it all, I don't know, by about 5 o'clock, everything kind of eased off enough, wind and seas, that at least comparatively, I was like, oh, okay, this is no big deal at all. And still to this very minute, as we surf and every once in a while take a hit, and the motion I'm feeling doesn't bother me one iota. But I'm sure 2-3 days ago it definitely would have. I would have been like, oh man, it's pretty windy out there, because it's still blowing about 25. I ended up firing up the engine because obviously the batteries were toast. The little jackery thing, that one totally roasted. And by that I mean I've run out of the batteries to keep the iPad and stuff like that charged. So go through, fire up the engine. That was cool. Charge everything up. I make some food, another one of them chicken things. It was delicious. And now the propane won't work, and I'm just wondering if I ran out. Just going to have to switch the bottles, but that's a task for tomorrow, I think. I was able to make coffee using my jet boil, which is great. You always got to have that redundant system, I'll tell you. And yeah, so I get that all powered up, and then as soon as that was good, I pretty much just crashed, and I slept for about 4 hours, maybe 5. And I swear, I was just with Scott and Jess on their boat, and I'm dreaming that Scott is up there and he's helming, taking care of everything, and we're headed somewhere to then drop him off. But I was like, where we're like in the middle. We're in the middle of the ocean. Where am I going to drop you off? And I was thinking it must be Bermuda, but I don't know. Very vivid dreams. And yeah. That was crazy. It just got full on. There were times where I was like, holy, pardon my French, shit. This is like, whoa. I did a couple clips where I'm like, hey, Cretch, you like this kind of weather, dude? You can have it. I don't want anything to deal with this. Ugh. And it definitely conjured up some memories that I've not thought about for a long time. Down in not only the Southern Ocean, but the South Atlantic when I was going north, where it's just big. It's powerful, and you feel just how small and insignificant you are. Man. But it is also absolutely breathtaking to behold some of these giant waves. And giant, being relative. Obviously, you read a book like A Storm Too Soon, and the waves they were in were like 70, 80 feet. So, almost triple what I was dealing with. But the shape and the veracity are the same. It's just the scale goes up. And 99% of these waves that I dealt with today, nothing. Like, they didn't pose any sort of threat. They just look really scary and really big, but there's no big whitewater crest thundering at you. It's just a big wave. It's no big deal. But then it's that 1%. And there were some triangles that heaped up and were breaking in 2 different directions, which I don't even know how that's possible. And then the wind is hitting them, and it's like blowing the tuft of hair off an old man's head. Man, what a sight. What a sight. Yeah. I mean, living. I don't want to do that again. I'm very hopeful that is Mighty Sparrow, at least under my command. That is Mighty Sparrow's last Gale, if I have anything to say about it. Because that was a workout by any and all means, on the rig, everything. I don't think we cracked any of the tabbing from the bulkheads to the hull. I didn't hear anything like that going on, so we should be pretty good. Obviously, I'm gonna have to check it out, but yeah, if that is the one that we go out on, as far as like, yeah, we intentionally kind of, we're like, yeah, let's just go for it. Then I think I can die a happy man. And I'm sticking to it. So now it's 12:30 on the 18th. I'm gonna fill in my logbook because now I'm half an hour late. Thanks, podcast. Actually, a bunch of them have been a half hour late. I've been very, very diligent on this trip, and it's so nice because this record is necessary. And then I think I might try to put up the storm jib and broad reach a little bit, because right now we're headed east of Bermuda. If I keep going on this course, I won't even land in Bermuda. And Bermuda's only about 250 miles away. So a stop there might be inevitable. Although I do believe by tomorrow afternoon, believe it or not, we are going to be becalmed. As the ocean goes. Yeah. You go from 45, gusting to 45 to 0 in essentially about a 24-hour period. It's pretty miraculous, this ocean world. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that. Hopefully it made sense. I am pretty fatigued and tired, and I wouldn't say rattled, but definitely a bit shook up. But feeling good now. Like, I will say, you go through that where you're very overwhelmed, and you get through that gale and you get it to a point where it breaks and you're like, wow, okay, it's on its way back to normalcy. I was on cloud 50. It felt amazing. I was just like doing a jig. Not only that, it was like, finally we're good, and we should be okay. But it was also like, holy cow, that was an experience to be had. I'm glad I got to witness that and see Mother Nature in one of her proudest moments. Whew. Yeah, wow. Crazy. I don't want to do it again. But I'm glad I got to see it. Oh, Lord. All right. That's it. I'm sure we'll have another little recap at some point of this one. And I don't know when it's going to go out. Probably as soon as the boat stops rolling so much. And these waves chill out. I'm still just surfing waves. What did we just do there? I think we did about 10 knots. Here we go. All right. Thanks for listening. And yeah, I guess that's going to be update from day 3. No, that's day 4. That's all day 4. The hectic day 4.